channel. Hope you're doing okay and are well. Happy Halloween, most importantly. So today, guys, we look into a pretty gruesome and horrific story. So it's regarding a lady called Julia Martha Thomas, who was killed by her housekeeper, who was a lady called Kate Webster. And it happened a really long time ago, I think 8 or 9 years before the Jack the Ripper killings, or the reported first killing from Jack the Ripper. So there isn't a great deal of information out there really, it's just bits and pieces, but I think it's a really interesting one, so hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So today we look around Barnes Cemetery, which is where the remains of the murder victim was laid to rest or interned. And again, that's a really interesting place because it hasn't been used for a long time, and nature has certainly sort of run its course within the cemetery grounds. So Julia Thomas was actually laid to rest, or her remains were laid to rest, in an unmarked grave. And you will see for when we visit the grounds, it would be almost impossible to find the location, but we have a look around anyway. We also visit the location of where her cottage used to be, which is where the murder took place, and the pub next door, which has also got an interesting story. So guys, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to get a bit more info on Mrs. Julia Thomas. Julia Martha Thomas was a former teacher and a widow. She had hired Kate Webster to work for her as a servant. Kate Webster had a long history of convictions, including theft, but Julia Thomas was unaware of any of these when she had hired her. The two women generally did not get along and had a bad relationship. Julia would eventually ask Kate to leave her service. Kate Webster would later say that her boss would do many things to annoy her, like criticise her work. A couple of days before Kate was due to stop working, both ladies would get involved in a serious argument. And Kate Webster would later admit that she'd throw Miss Thomas from the top of the stairs. Katie would then become even more agitated, and to prevent her screaming and attracting attention from neighbours, she would grab Julia around the throat and choke her. From there, determined to do away with the body, she would dismember Julia Thomas, as well as use boiling hot water to get rid of her skin. In the following few days, Kate Webster would continue with what would have been her normal employment duties, including cleaning the house, washing and putting out Miss Thomas's clothes for neighbours to see. During these few days, Kate Webster would slowly dispose of the body at various locations. Within a few days, a box was found washed up at Barnes Railway Bridge. In it were various body parts wrapped in a brown paper bag. Around the same time, a foot and an ankle were found in Twickenham. The remains were laid to rest in Barnes Cemetery. Webster continued to live in Julia's home, wearing her clothes and as well as posing as her boss. Kate Webster reached an agreement to sell the house furniture and other goods to a gentleman. The man purchasing the goods would become suspicious, and while talking to a neighbour, would gesture towards Kate while saying Miss Julia Martha Thomas. Realising that she was about to be found out, Katie immediately left the area. After travelling to various locations for a few days, she would be eventually arrested and put on trial for murder at the Old Bailey. After 6 days, she was found guilty. Kate Webster was executed on the 29th of July 1879 at 9 AM at Wandsworth Prison. So guys, we are in Richmond and we are coming up to where Martha Jane Stewart's cottage used to be, where she was killed. So we're going to have a look at that, and next door is also the pub, or what used to be the Hole in the Wall pub, which is where her skull was found 130 years later. So I'm going to spin you guys around and we're going to have a look. So the house, or the cottage, where Julia Martha Thomas lived, is just coming up on our left. And it is just here, literally behind the tree on the left side. So that's where she lived and was murdered by Kate Webster. And just next door, this building used to be the Hole in the Wall pub, and that's where Katie used to drink. And it closed in 2009, and it was purchased by Sir David Attenborough, who lives just behind. And during renovation works in 2010, they found Julia's skull, or workmen found Julia's skull, literally over 130 years later. So guys, a real gruesome, disturbing chain of events, really, and one I wasn't familiar with or didn't know about at all, to be honest with you, until I came across it online. But let me know what you think, guys. As always, really interesting connection with Sir David Attenborough, of course, and the fact that they found Julia's skull within the grounds of the pub while carrying out renovation work. Let me know if you're familiar with the story. As always, guys, drop a comment down below and we will see you in the next video. See you soon.